Number 1. The immediate yes. Someone sends a message, a problem, a crisis, a favor wrapped in urgency, and before you've even finished reading it, before you've checked your own energy, your own schedule, your own emotional state, the answer is already forming. Yes, I'll handle it. Give me a few minutes. You don't debate it, you don't pause. The yes arrives faster than the thought. That speed feels like kindness. It feels like strength. But watch what happens underneath it. There's no genuine choice being made. There's a reflex. A trained, deeply grooved reflex that bypasses your actual needs entirely. This isn't generosity operating. This is a nervous system that learned long ago that being useful meant being safe, that solving kept connection intact, that a delayed yes risked something unnamed and terrifying. You don't help because you want to. You help because not helping feels like disappearing. Number 2. The invisible toll. Here's what nobody sees. By Tuesday afternoon, you've solved 4 people's problems. You've answered the urgent email, talked a friend through their spiral, restructured a colleague's presentation, absorbed a family member's panic like a sponge absorbs water. And you look completely fine. That's the trap. The exhaustion doesn't show on your face. You've trained it not to. But internally, something is running on reserves it doesn't have. A cortisol baseline that never fully resets. A low-grade depletion that accumulates silently, invisibly, beneath a surface of total functional competence. You drive home. You feel hollowed out, but cannot name exactly why. You weren't attacked, nobody hurt you, everything just cost more than it appeared to. That invisible toll is real. It is a legitimate physiological and emotional debt. The body keeps a ledger the mind refuses to open. You are not tired because you're weak. You're tired because you never stop. Number 3. The armor of utility. At some point, maybe childhood, maybe a relationship that rewarded your capability and punished your vulnerability, you learned something devastating. That who you are isn't enough, but what you do might be. So you built armor, and you built it brilliantly. The armor looks like competence. It looks like reliability. It looks like being the person who shows up, fixes things, never crumbles publicly. People admire it. They lean on it. They call it your personality. But armor is not identity. It's a boundary between the world and the part of you that never felt safe enough to be seen without something to offer. Watch what happens when there's nothing to fix. Watch the discomfort rise when someone just wants to be with you. No problem, no task, no utility required. That discomfort is the armor working against you now. You built it to survive. It kept you safe, and it is quietly suffocating you from the inside. Number 4. The reliability trap. There is a cognitive loop that runs in your mind constantly. It sounds like this. If I am consistent, I am safe. If I am safe, I am loved. If I am loved, I must remain consistent. Circular, sealed, a loop with no exit. This is how the reliability trap operates. You became dependable, genuinely, impressively dependable, and then that dependability became the condition of your belonging. Not consciously chosen, just gradually calcified into expectation. Now imagine canceling. Saying no, saying I can't this time. Feel how that lands in your chest. That tight, specific anxiety isn't selfishness. It's your nervous system predicting rupture. It learned that inconsistency equals abandonment, so consistency became compulsory, not optional. The hypervigilance required to maintain this is extraordinary. You are running a background program every single day, monitoring, predicting, pre-solving, so that nobody ever finds you unreliable. You didn't choose this loop. The loop chose you when you were too young to negotiate. Number 5. The silent ledger. Here's the paradox nobody talks about. You give without asking. Genuinely, you do. But somewhere below the giving, there is a silent ledger being kept. Not of favors owed, of proof. Every time you help, a quiet part of you is compiling evidence. See, I am valuable. See, they need me. See, I belong here. You're not calculating, you're compensating. There's a difference. Calculating implies strategy. Compensating implies a wound. The ledger exists because some part of you does not believe the connection would survive if the usefulness stopped. So you keep solving, you keep delivering, you keep pouring into others so the account never runs dry, so nobody ever has a reason to look at you and find you insufficient. The illusion is that you're being selfless. The mechanism is that you're managing existential fear. You are not keeping score. You are keeping yourself from disappearing. And you have been exhausted by that paperwork for years. Number 6. The atrophy of desire. Ask yourself, and answer honestly, what do you want? Not what would help the situation, not what would make someone else comfortable, not the responsible answer or the selfless answer or the answer that keeps the peace. What do you actually want? If that question produces silence or blankness or a faint panic, that is not coincidence. That is atrophy. Desire requires practice. It requires the repetition of asking yourself what you need and then, critically, acting on the answer. When you spend years prioritizing everyone else's needs as the immediate emergency and yours as the afterthought, the muscle weakens. Then it stops responding. You stop knowing what you like. You stop knowing what rest feels like, what joy feels like, what a boundary feels like as a genuine preference and not a guilty transgression. The exhaustion isn't just energetic, it's existential. You have slowly, systematically edited yourself out of your own life, and you didn't notice until the page was nearly blank. Number 7. The competence isolation. There is a specific, devastating loneliness that the highly competent carry. It cannot be solved by adding more people. It lives precisely in the middle of a room full of people who need you. You are surrounded, and you are completely alone. Here's the trauma paradox. The very capability that earns you connection simultaneously prevents the kind of connection you actually need. People come to you with their falling apart. You hold it. You help. You perform the role of stable ground. But who holds you? The question feels almost ridiculous, doesn't it? Because somewhere in the architecture of your psychology, you decided, or were taught, that needing holding was a luxury your particular profile of person didn't get to request, so you become the container, always, for everyone, while remaining privately, chronically uncontained yourself. You smile in the group chat, you offer solutions in the meeting. You are the dependable one, and behind all of it, there is a person who hasn't been genuinely asked how are you, and believed the asker actually wanted to know, in a very long time. Number 8. The terrifying void. Now we reach the deepest pattern, the one that makes the whole system make sense. If you genuinely stopped solving, stopped fixing, stopped making yourself indispensable, who would you be? That question is not rhetorical. It is the engine of everything. Because for someone whose identity has been constructed entirely around utility, around competence, around being the person others need, the absence of that role doesn't feel like freedom. It feels like annihilation. The void isn't laziness, it isn't selfishness, it is the terrifying, wide-open space where a self is supposed to live. The self that never got to form because it was too busy holding everyone else together. You are not afraid of rest. You are afraid of what rest reveals. That beneath the competence, beneath the reliability, beneath the carefully maintained armor, there is a person who doesn't yet know who they are outside of what they provide. This is not a flaw. This is the logical result of a survival strategy so successful, so total, it consumed the very person it was designed to protect. You solved everyone's problems, and the one that remains, the oldest, quietest one, is you. You were not built to be endlessly useful. You were built to be fully human, which means needing, wanting, and existing without justification. The competence was never the problem. Forgetting the person beneath it was. You are allowed to put it down.